Congressman John Carter was first elected in 2002 to represent Texas, 31st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives, and re-elected by large margins in 2004, 2006, and 2008. Congressman Carter has established himself as a leader in Congress who has the foresight and courage to author and support numerous pieces of legislation that will increase the protection of the U.S. citizens and bring justice to those who threaten our freedom and way of life. Congressman Carter has served on the prestigious House Appropriations Committee since 109th Congress. He currently sits on 3 subcommittees of critical interest to the 31st District: Military Quality of Life and Veteran Affairs, Transportation and Homeland Security. Let's give a warm welcome to our Congressman.
Thank you, and I appreciate very much you allowing me to come talk to you. I've got to start off by telling you that this side of my face is swollen because I had dental surgery, not because my wife got me with the right cross. I have to defend her honor, so I'll start off with that. But you can't stop when you got this job. People ask me why Texas. You know, we go to Washington and people say, you Texans always act like you're a little bit different than us. I said, it's because we are. I mean, obviously. So I'm going to go back and report that I went to the fastest growing city in our county for a little meeting, and to show you how we have our priorities straight. We started off by discussing war with the Obama administration. Then we got a report on a big party. And finally, the most important, we discussed the 7-0 of our football team. So Texans have our priorities straight, and the rest of the country's crooked. You know, one of the things, the truth is, I like to tell this story. Because we really are from a special place, we live in Texas. And we're even more special to live in Central Texas, because this is the greatest place on earth to live. And by the way, congratulations on what you've done in this town. I mean, it's just like a miracle. You know, Jonas and I walked in this building and I said, it's hard to believe this is Hutto, Texas, isn't it? I mean, I've been here a long time now, and it's just amazing what you've done in this city. And congratulations on all that. But we had an issue one time, to tell you about Texas in Washington. And it had to do with Continental Airlines and American Airlines, who were 2 of our 3 airlines based in Texas. Southwest wasn't complaining. But they were writing a bill that was going to give us special privileges to United and some other airlines, but they weren't including the Texas Airlines. The only excluded airlines were the ones based in Texas. And so we just calmly explained to them that you weren't going to write an airline bill that excluded the Texas Air Force. You know, it's not going to happen. This is our airlines, and we want to know why we're not included in this bill. And they said, you guys, just quit worrying about it. So we said, fine, we won't vote for it. There's 32 members of the Texas delegation. And they said, yeah, right. So all of us, Democrats and Republicans, got up, walked to the back of the house and got a cup of coffee. And said, y'all have a great day. But just remember, we're going to remember this. Well, they all kind of sat around and said, well, what are we going to do? We're going to let these Texans walk out. So they came back and they started talking to us, and they said, you can't walk out like this. This is bad publicity for the House. We said, no, this is bad discrimination against Texas. And party designation goes out the window. You're either going to put us in this bill and treat us like United and all these Yankee airlines, or by golly, we won't vote for it. They said, you're serious? We said, we're serious as a heart attack. So they went back and powwowed up at the front of the building. This was when our party was in charge, so I'm not picking on Democrats. And the speaker came back and said, what do you want? We said, just treat us like everybody else. He said, done. We said, well, when you show us the language, we'll vote. They ran off and got people to do the job and came back and said, there's the language, here's our signature pledging it. We said, fine, we'll go vote. And I went back and I sat down next to California. And California has the largest delegation in Congress, not the largest Republican, but they have the largest. And he said, you know, that would never happen in the history of our state. That would never happen. He said, you Texans, he said, it's amazing how when it comes down to Texas, Texans stand up for Texas. And I said, well, What can we say? So I always like to share that story. I want to give a brief report of what's going on. The truth is that the best thing for us to talk about is not what has just happened, because pretty much what has happened in the last 18 months is so much on the news right now that I think everybody knows that our issues are the healthcare debacle and other things like that, and the massive spending that's gone on in the last 18 months. It's an issue that's, I mean, we start voting on it Monday, okay? So everybody knows where we are on that. But I think what you need to know is what is going to happen. Because one of the things that's going on in the country today, and one of the reasons why we are in a situation where things are not moving forward. I can tell you that I've been talking with business leaders from across my whole district. I've been talking with hospitals. I've been talking with, well, every kind of person I have. And the one thing you hear from everyone is fear. You remember that Franklin Roosevelt, when the Great Depression started, he started off by saying, and I think that's where the administration has missed this, that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And quite honestly, an economy afraid of what happens next week is an economy that freezes up. And that's because everyone you hear, they say, well, we'd like to do something, but we're afraid of what's going to happen next. Or we're afraid of what this massive health care bill is going to do to us because we don't understand it. Or we're afraid of the massive deficits and debts that are being accumulated. What's that going to do to us long term? And this is our local folks that are expressing this. But I went to Arizona to work for some of our candidates in Arizona 2-3 weeks ago, and met with a group at least this size. And that was exactly the same thing they said in Arizona. We are afraid of the unknown. And the unknown is still unknown. We just don't know what we got coming our way. So I want to tell you what we think, what's going to happen after this election cycle. Because we're going to go into what's called a lame duck session of Congress. That means, and a lame duck session means there's going to be people that have a vote after the election that don't have a seat come January 1st because they've lost. What that number is going to be is kind of what this election is all about. I have a feeling they're going to be over 50 people that are going to lose their seats. But that's my personal prediction, and others don't agree with that. But whatever it is, there's going to be people voting in one or both of our parties that are after November the 2nd. And they are valid members of Congress until January 1st next year that will not be voting next year in Congress because they won't be there. It always happens. We rarely have lame duck sessions of Congress, and rarely anything gets done of importance when you do have a lame duck session of Congress. But we're going to have one this year. And we go back up on the 15th of November. We will come back for Thanksgiving, and then we will go back after Thanksgiving weekend, and we're expected to be there until Christmas Eve, which is very unusual. Doesn't happen very often. During that period, we will either have a bloody fight, and if the leadership goes forward, the current leadership goes forward, they will propose cap and trade and card check, which cap and trade is the energy policy, a tax on energy, which would be a disaster for the state of Texas. And card check is a way by which unions can be formed in non-union states without elections. And both of these directly point at Texas. So that we're going to have a real battle on two issues, potentially. Now, what could change that? Well, what could change that is that maybe after the election, if they look at it and say, look, this was pretty much a condemnation of our policies, maybe we'd be a little crazy to shove some more down people's throat. But that's where we're going, and that's again part of who knows. And that who knows is what's causing us to have a fear in our country.